A terrifying car crash on the streets of San Francisco ends in a dispute between drivers.
Windows come down, people start screaming. We have no idea what happened. It could have been a terrorist attack for all we know.
I wasn't drag racing, I was just driving my car carefully.
I hope you wouldn't be driving around doing something as irresponsible and stupid as drag racing on the streets of San Francisco.
Plaintiff Petra Oster-Milchner says the defendant was drag racing and lost control, causing him to crash into her parked car. She's suing for a totaled vehicle. Defendant Carnell Hickman Butler says the accident wasn't his fault and he owes nothing because a pothole caused him to lose control of his car.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Oster-Milchner versus Hickman Butler.
Thank you, Juan. Petra Oster-Milchner?
Yes.
You were suing the defendant, Carnell Hickman Butler.
Yes, Your Honor.
For $10,000, you say he owes you for totaling your vehicle in an accident?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And you understand the statutory maximum in my courtroom is $5,000?
Yes, I've been a...
Okay, so why don't we start from the beginning? I understand that this was a pretty serious accident that happened with your car. What day did this take place?
Yes, on December 6th, I was downtown San Francisco with a friend inside a wine bar. And we're sitting there chatting away, and suddenly a huge crash occurs right behind our backs. I turn around, and the whole windows are shattered of the bar we're sitting in. I look outside, and I see my car that I just bought 6 months ago in pieces. I could not believe what just happened.
What kind of car was it?
It was a Honda Civic.
What year?
I just bought it from a coworker. It was a 2008 with only 80,000 miles. So I bought it for $10,000 cash down.
So you're sitting in the wine bar and you hear this crash and the windows in the wine bar, the glass actually shattered?
Windows come down, people start screaming. We have no idea what happened. It could have been a terrorist attack for all we know. So I run outside, I immediately start filming. I have photos right here if I may show you.
Yes, one.
The heaviness of the accident. There were a total of 3 cars involved.
Thank you.
And I start running outside.
Wow, which one of these is your car?
The Honda Civic right here is my car.
Okay.
This is the defendant's car, and this is a Toyota SUV that was also parked right behind my car.
Okay.
Both cars were completely totaled, and I was actually standing in that spot right before, 5 minutes before it happened, talking on the phone. I could have died that night. Both cars were smashed in, business windows came down, and no drivers to be seen anywhere.
So when you came outside, he was not in the car?
No, I approached the crime scene, immediately filming, and there was nobody on the scene.
Okay, you can walk back over, please, thank you. And what time of night was this?
This happened at 9:30 p.m.
9:30, okay.
Objection, Your Honor.
Well, sir, she hasn't even...
You gotta let her talk.
How do you even know what she's talking about?
Lack of evidence.
How do you even know what she's talking about yet? You're already objecting? I can't wait to hear your side of this, trust me.
Okay, yeah.
You will have plenty of time to speak on this today, okay?
Okay.
But I want to hear her version, and then I'm coming directly to you to hear your side of how this all happened, okay?
Okay.
And I understand you also submitted video from the scene?
Yes, there's a video that I immediately filmed when
Let me take a look
it
at that.
occurred. I'm so shaken right now. Are you okay? Where is she? Right there. So you can see there are no drivers. I approached the crime scene and I'm wondering where are the people involved in this accident.
So what happened? How did you end up finding the defendant?
Well, I interviewed some witnesses, and as you can see on this police report right here, there are statements that apparently there was a drag race.
No. I will look at the police report. I understand you submitted that in evidence, but I want to know from your own eyes and ears that night how you were able to make the connection to the defendant.
So after the accident occurred and I received the police report, I looked the defendant up on Facebook.
So that night, you never saw him at the scene of the accident?
No.
And how long were you there at the scene?
I was at the scene for about an hour and a half dealing with everything.
And you never saw him at the scene of the accident that night?
This is actually the first time I just made eye contact with him.
Okay, and so how do you know this is the right person standing in front of me today?
A funny thing happened that moment. As the accident happened, people started, of course, circling around the crime scene, and
Well, it's an accident scene. It's not a criminal case.
okay.
Okay.
As the accident scene starts building up with an audience around it, suddenly I see a stranger working himself through the crowd, approaching the trunk. At that point, I'm looking at the scenario thinking it's some homeless guy trying to steal something take an opportunity from the situation. So I start screaming like, hey, and I get the crowd involved. People start noticing, and guys in the crowd start wrestling defendant down.
I'm trying to understand this because you told me earlier today is the first time you're laying eyes on him.
I saw him for the first time that night, but I first made eye contact with him today.
Okay, that's the distinction you're making. You're making eye contact with him today.
Yes. I saw him that
But you
evening.
did see him that night at the scene.
Of course.
Okay, so I have one question for you.
Yes.
How long were you at the scene before you say the defendant appears?
10 minutes.
Okay, Mr. Butler,
Yes, Your Honor.
is that your car in the photo, in the video?
Yes, that is my car.
That is your car, and it
Yes.
was involved in the accident that night?
Yes, it
And were
was
you
involved.
driving that car, sir?
Yes, I was driving that
Tell
car.
me what happened.
Okay, so there was no drag racing whatsoever, any form or fashion.
Okay,
So my tire
put your papers down.
My tire was slowly leaking air, and this was prior to the whole situation before anything transpired. I just got off of work and noticed my tire was leaking air. So I took it to the shop to get the tire changed
What time did you take the car to the shop?
between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. So in the midst of doing that, I talked to the people in the shop, and they tell me that my tire has a security lug nut on it from the manufacturer of the car company, Acura. So that special lug nut corresponds to the year and model of that car. So
Okay, and so you weren't able to get the part you needed that day to make
Right.
the repair. So what, you go directly home and park the car?
I went to the gas station to put air in my tire because they wouldn't allow me to change my tire.
Okay,
So after I went to the gas station, I just figured if I drive carefully, that nothing will happen to my car. I pretty much could just keep putting air in my tire and everything will be okay.
so what happened at 9:30 that night?
Coming up, the excuses about the cause of the accident escalate.
I'm just trying to get to your defense as to why you're not responsible for this accident.
I didn't know I was gonna hit this pothole.
Who's responsible, the city?
Plaintiff Petra Oster-Milchner says Cardinal is at fault for the accident that destroyed her car. She's suing for a totaled vehicle. Defendant Cardell Hickman Butler says he owes nothing because the accident wasn't his fault.
Sir, tell me how the accident happened.
Okay, I'm driving up the street and it just got done raining heavily. And as I'm about to approach the stoplight,
How fast were you driving?
between 30 and 35 miles per hour.
Okay.
And as I approached the stoplight, I was about to stop, but my car hit a pothole before I could stop, before I even hit the brake.
So you were slowing down to stop.
Yeah, before I stopped at a complete
So
stop.
you were going even slower than 30 to 35 miles per hour.
Yeah, a little bit slower.
And you hit a
But as I
pothole.
approached the pothole, I was going 30 to 35. So once I hit the pothole, my back tire popped, and the car started to hydroplane.
Okay.
And as soon as the car hydroplaned, I just had a sudden reflex, and it made me turn the wheel the wrong way due to panic and fear. So by me turning the wheel the wrong way, it went in the direction of the parked cars instead of turning it or just letting the wheel turn itself.
Okay, and so that happens, and then what do you do after you hit the cars? What do you do?
Well, after I hit the car, I sit in the car for a second because my mind is just in a daze. I'm seeing stars.
What do you do when you get out of the car?
As soon as I get out the car, I sat down on the curb between some cars across the street. And I just sat there and I was bleeding for a while, just sitting there.
Were you injured?
Yes, I
How?
was injured. My head was injured, and my arm and my leg was injured.
So this is a one-car accident. Your car hits parked cars, right? No other driving cars. Your car hits parked cars.
Right.
They're total. Do you have insurance on your car?
Yes, I do have insurance on the car.
No, not do. Did you, the night of this accident back in December,
Yes,
you were
did.
insured?
I had insurance due to my understanding of insurance, but
Well, no. It's not your understanding of insurance. Right. Did you have insurance or not?
Yes, I did.
You either had it or you did not.
I did, but they said I didn't.
Who was they? The insurance company?
Yeah, because they merged over and changed it.
Okay, so you say you did. You understand it matters what they say, right? They're the insurance company?
Right.
You did not have insurance. Right. So you're driving a car that you know has an issue. You found out at 4:15 that afternoon. You just told me, 4:15 that afternoon you were at the shop. There's an issue with the car. But in your mind, you decide, I'm going to drive slowly, right, around the city, although it's raining. As you said, heavily. You've decided to drive around slowly for the rest of the night because in your mind, hey, the car has an issue, but as long as I drive around slowly while it's heavily raining, I should be good.
Well, Your Honor, I didn't know I was going to hit this pothole.
Then you say this.
I didn't know I was going to hit this pothole.
May I see that?
I had no idea,
sir,
that this was in the street. No one.
Is this your evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
A photo of a pothole. I don't know where this is, what street this is on. I don't know what city this is in. You could have gotten this off of Google for all I know. Is this your best evidence of a pothole that you hit that night?
That's the pothole that I hit, Your Honor.
I'm just trying to get to your defense as to why you're not responsible for this accident. You're telling me because of the pothole, who's responsible, the city?
Yes, and the manufacturing company.
Did you take this up with the city?
Yes, I did. I filed the claim right here, but
let me see that. How's that working out for you?
No one haven't got back to me yet because of some issues with my correspondence. I think I need to send it priority mail or it's...
Well, sir, no one's gotten back to you yet because you just filed this claim 3 days ago.
Right.
This accident happened back in December. So you just filed this claim with the city after you knew you were coming to court on this case.
Right.
You filed this claim with the city in anticipation of litigation. Manufactured evidence is trash.
Right.
Because if you really thought the city was responsible, you would have filed this back in December, not 6 months later.
I had to get some legal advice from my lawyer. I wasn't aware that I could file a claim. So I just got word 3 days before the court, before any type of planning to go to court about this.
No, you've been defending this case since it happened back in December.
No, I haven't. I haven't been
Yes,
defending.
you have. You knew that she was holding you responsible for the damages to her car back in December.
I didn't know. I never received no paperwork.
And then you come into court to tell me that this is your proof that the city is responsible. That you filed a claim with them 3 days ago.
Coming up on Judge Faith, the defendant's drag racing denial is called into question.
You have an excuse for the accident that you hit this pothole going 30 miles an hour and that's what caused that kind of damage and carnage. I don't buy it for a second.
Plaintiff Petra Oster-Milchner says Carnell was driving recklessly and crashed into her parked car. She's suing for a totaled vehicle. Defendant Carnell Hickman Butler says the accident wasn't his fault and that the city of San Francisco should pay for the damage.
You know, let's back up for a second. I want to hear the allegation. What is the allegation of drag racing that he so passionately defends before I ever even get to talk about it? What is the drag racing allegation?
2 cars were chasing each other on a one-way street.
Did you see this?
I interviewed people. I did not see it. But I have a police
You interviewed other
report.
people. That's hearsay, but I want to hear, I'm just curious, what did they say?
Yes,
because the pothole story doesn't make any sense, just so you know.
And may I just point out that in the video, there's no wet streets to be seen.
Well, according to the police report, it had rained earlier that day, but it wasn't raining at the time of the accident.
Correct, Your
But
Honor.
you interviewed people at the scene, and they told you what?
I interviewed a guy and he said, yeah, I just saw 2 cars chasing each other going up the street on a one-way super fast, and suddenly one guy spins out of control, hits the other, and they start getting out of the car and running. That was the story.
And did you get a statement from this, a written statement from this witness?
Yes, I filmed one of the witnesses. Unfortunately, I had erased that statement, but the police interviewed the same person afterwards as in the report.
Were you drag racing?
No, I was not drag racing.
Were you riding with a friend that night?
No, I was by myself. I have no...
Was there another friend? Was there another car?
No, there was no
that
cars.
you know of, a person with you on the street that night?
No, I was the only car going up the street at that time that crashed.
How old are you?
26.
Do you have children?
Yep,
How many children do you have?
got 2,
How old are they?
4, and 3.
Because I would hope that someone in your position that's taken on the responsibility of being a father to 2 young kids, I hope you wouldn't be driving around doing something as irresponsible and stupid as drag racing on the streets of San Francisco. Why are you looking down? Look at me.
It was raining. I wasn't drag racing. I was just driving my car carefully.
Yeah, you driving a car carefully that you shouldn't have been driving because you're not insured. And you have an excuse for that too. You have an excuse as to why you were driving your car knowing that there was an issue with your tire. You have an excuse for that. You have an excuse for driving with no insurance. You have an excuse for the accident that you hit this pothole going 30 miles an hour, and that's what caused that kind of damage and carnage on the sidewalk in the street that night. I don't buy it. And then you come in here with this paper that you filed 3 days ago against the city of San Francisco. You're not going to sue the city and get any money from the city, just so you know.
I understand that the defendant has a family and has to take care of things, so I offered to negotiate in a letter to him, and I didn't hear back from him. I was willing to work around things, but having to deal with the damages and then being even reprimanded by the body shop owner who's telling me that I now owe him $1,500 for parking a damaged car at his lot, everything just, it was intense. I had saved up for this quite a long time. I put $10,000 down because this was a purchase going towards my design business, and I needed a car to visit clients.
And your insurance didn't cover?
No, that's
loss?
the fact that I received no money. In one night, I lost $10,000.
Why?
I wish I'd just gone to Vegas with it.
Why didn't your insurance cover the car?
I felt really tricked by my insurance because they would have covered me for bodily injury if I would have been in the car, but since the car was parked, I didn't receive anything.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. There are two issues. There's the issue of liability and there's the issue of damages. You have stood before me this entire case and you have admitted to nothing. You've made no concessions whatsoever despite the damage you've caused, not only to yourself and your selfish actions that night, driving around in those conditions with no insurance, but also to the other people involved. So on the issue of liability, I find that you are responsible. On the issue of damages, I find you're responsible for more than the statutory maximum that this court allows. I can only award you $5,000. You should be getting more, but that's the statutory maximum. As a parent of two young children, how are you making these kind of irresponsible decisions at this point in your life? You've decided to bring two lives in this world that you're taking care of, and you have to show them the way? How are you going to do that? Easy. If you don't start making better choices for yourself. It's not that easy.
I did
because
everything
you're not doing
I had
it.
to do.
$5,000 judgment for the plaintiff.
Having money taken from you in one night through such a quick instance with someone irresponsible to have a car and not have insurance, I just don't understand.
The plaintiff really feel like I put her at a loss, which I really didn't. It was just an unfortunate event. What can I say?
A goddaughter accuses her godmother of taking her car on a joyride that ends in an unfortunate accident.
I kind of knew something was wrong because she was inside waiting for me. Right then and there, when I got off the airplane, she was like, I'll help you pay.
I've lived on that street for 8 years, and this is the first time that this has happened.
When you lie to me about one thing, I start questioning everything else you said in court to me today.
Plaintiff Brandy Obiama says she trusted her godmother to take care of her car while she was away on a trip, but instead it was returned in worse condition. She's suing for damages to her car and an insurance deductible. Defendant May Crawford says she owes nothing because it's not her fault the car got hit while it was parked on a public street.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Obiama versus Crawford.
Thank you, Juan. Brandy Obiama.
Correct.
You are suing the defendant, May Crawford?
Yes.
For $1,550 for damages to your car and an insurance deductible?
Yes.
As a result of an accident you say she is responsible for?
Correct.
Okay, so why don't we start from the beginning? How do you know Miss Crawford?
Actually, she's been a longtime friend. Basically, she's my godmother's actual aunt. We haven't seen each other probably in like 15 years just because she lives in Louisiana now and I lived in California. But I recently moved to Louisiana to go to school at LSU, so I go home like every summer. So when I went home, my roommates were already gone, and it was just easier also because, like I said, my roommates weren't there, so I wasn't going to be able to leave it at home. I kind of felt uncomfortable.
The car?
Yeah.
What kind of car is it?
It's a 2014 Toyota Corolla, and it was new, and I had just bought it like previously before I moved to Louisiana in 2014. So I really, wanted eyes on it more so than anything.
So you were leaving for the entire summer?
Just for 3 weeks. So from August 5th to the 25th.
Okay, and so you called her up, and what was the conversation about your car and where it would be left?
Basically, she actually showed me where it would be left. We made arrangements before for me to come and drop it off, but when I actually physically got there, she actually showed me where it would be at, and it was supposed to be off the street on the sidewalk because in New Orleans, like the streets are very small. So, yeah, it was like in her grass area in front of her house.
Okay, what ends up happening to the car? You're here because you say she's responsible for damage to your car.
So the first week, actually, a couple of days after I had actually got home, like probably 3 or 4, I can't remember exactly, she called and told me that my window busted, and I was like, that's kind of irregular, for even with heat and everything. It was August. I mean, it is hot, but
very hot in New Orleans in August.
And I even asked my coworkers, I was like, is that something that happens out here because I'm not familiar?
So the window broke because of the heat. That's what she told you?
Yeah.
And then what else happened?
So later on, when I got home, about time that I got off the airplane and got to her.
And you're back in Louisiana at this point?
Yeah, at this point. And at that time, she was basically telling me now that my car had been sideswiped. But when she was making it seem like it was just my side view mirror, like my, passenger side mirror. But when I got out there, it was literally sideswiped from basically the back door to the front bumper.
Let me see the photos. And what did she tell you happened?
She basically said somebody sideswiped and...
Okay, so this is the car prior to damage, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And my thing about the side swiping...
How did she tell you it happened, the side swipe happened?
She said that it was on the opposite side of the road instead of being on her side of the street. And so that's why it's the passenger side instead of the driver's side, because her house, her house is actually on the right side.
If it was parked legally on the road, why would she be responsible for someone else hitting it?
I don't believe that it was actually parked. Like, I actually think she was actually using it because...
Oh, you think she was driving?
Yeah, because if not only is it that it was
I want to hear her side of this first, and then you can tell me about your theory of what happened to the car.
Okay, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
The car was parked, like she said, on the grassy area, but I parked my car there too. So prior that evening, before she came in, I moved the car on the other side of the street. So when it came time to go to the airport to pick her up, I can come out, get in the car, because I think her plane came in maybe at 12:30 or something like that at night. I can walk out there, get in her car, and go to the airport and pick her up.
Well, okay, so help me understand why it was necessary to do that. If you were able to come and go and her car was sitting there for 3 weeks, why did you have to move it?
It wasn't sitting there for 3 weeks. I had an all-white party that my husband and I were going to, and I called Brandy, and I asked Brandy, was it okay to drive her car? And she told me, oh, yes, that's fine. I have no problem with that. So we did drive it to the party.
Okay.
We did drive it there, but it was at a hall, it was real ritzy and nice, not a lot of drinking and all that. So
you didn't have an accident when you went to the all-white party?
No.
And who drove, you or your husband?
I did.
Okay.
What happened was I parked her car on the other side of the street. So when I come out at 12 o'clock at night and go to the airport and get her, I wouldn't have to move my car and get her car out and move. So I parked it over there. When I came out of the house, getting ready to go to the airport, that's when I saw this had happened.
Okay.
Now, I told Brandy I would help her pay for it. I did tell her that. But my thing now is, number one, I don't have the money. Number two, why am I the only one here? Why is the city of New Orleans here? Because it was parked on the city street.
You're not going to get money from the city of New Orleans. Let's just be realistic about that. That's why you're here.
Yeah, but
what happened to...
But I felt bad. I felt bad because she's a young girl. This was her first car, and I did feel bad about it, So I did tell her that. But I'm like, I wasn't driving the car. It's not my, It was parked, and it happens. These things
Did you call
happen.
the police and make a police report or
I wanted
anything?
to call the police and make a police report. Brandy didn't have time to come back down because the car had to physically be there. And see, when I came out my house, when I got to the airport, she was already there at this time of night. So we went to the airport, we came back, and she went on home.
Okay, so just so I can recap, in the 3 weeks you had the car, The heat shattered the window.
Right.
What the passenger side window?
Yes.
And her car was sideswiped.
Right.
Okay, and so how do you find out that the window shattered?
I was inside, and my little godson, he was outside. He's 6 years old. He was outside. He said, May, he said, a car window broke. And I went and I looked, and the window was still up and everything, but the glass was just shattered.
Coming up, was the damage to the car the result of an accident or an irresponsible driver?
Do you have a valid driver's license?
Not right now. It's expired.
It expired when?
Last month.
So if I step off the bench right now and I check your DMV records, it's going to tell me that you have a valid Louisiana driver's license during this time period?
Plaintiff Brandy Obiama says her godmother crashed her car. She's suing for damages to her car and an insurance deductible. Defendant May Crawford says she owes nothing because the car got hit while it was parked on a public street.
Okay, let me see the map of the street in your neighborhood where the car was parked. Can you walk over there and just show me?
The car was parked in front of this was my car. The car was parked in front of my car.
On the grass over where you're pointing.
Right.
Okay.
But the night before I went to pick her up at the airport, I parked the car over here so that I can just, get in it and go.
I don't understand why you would need to move the car from that grassy area. You can drive off just as easily from that grassy area as you could from the car being across the street.
But see, I had her car in the front, and I parked my car back here because the curb gets high, and I back up and I come off the curb.
Okay. You think she was driving your car, and that's how these things happened?
Honestly.
What proof do you have of that? Because so far, she had your car parked legally on the street, and if someone else hit it, she's not responsible for that. Just because you asked her to wash the car and keep the car, that doesn't create a legal contractual responsibility if someone comes along and there's an accident. Why do you say she was driving the car without your permission?
Because not only, well, she did ask me for permission, like she said, to go to the white party. And I told her, yeah, because at that point, I didn't believe that necessarily the window shattering was her fault. I didn't believe that. But when I got home, not only the fact that she waited to tell me, I felt like it was done before that, and she just waited until I got off the flight. And not only that, but it was a lot of smoke, like it was a strong smoke smell in my car.
Did she smoke?
Yes, and I don't smoke at all.
Did you smoke in the car when you went to the white party?
No. I did smoke in the car when I was on my way to the airport because my nerves was bad.
Okay, so just that one time.
Yes, my nerves was real bad.
So you say it was the strong smell of smoke in the car and the fact that she didn't tell you until after you landed that your car had been sideswiped, and you think it happened before that?
Yes, I really do. It just didn't make sense.
What about the conversation about her paying for, because so far, I mean, I'm still not convinced.
When I got off, as soon as I got off the plane, like, she was like, oh, like, almost scared me in a way, because she was like, oh, something happened to your car. Like, I'm literally at baggage claim, and that's what she's telling me. And, usually people just pick you up at the curb. So I kind of knew something was wrong because she was inside waiting for me. And so that kind of scared me because I thought maybe my whole car was messed up or something like that.
What was the conversation about her paying for the damages?
She said, like, right then and there when I got off the airplane, she was like, I'll help you pay. She even went as far as to text me and say, like, what's your address so I can send a MoneyGram.
Did she ever send you any money?
No.
And what was you have a voicemail you wanted me to listen to?
Yeah.
Brandy, this is May. You can take me to civil court if you want. I don't have a job. I don't have anything. It's going to end up the same way. I can't pay you. I can't give you no $1,000. I don't have it. So it doesn't matter to me what you do. You can't get blood out of a turnip. Turnips don't have blood. I am a turnip.
Excuse me, Judge. May I say something, please?
Yes.
Now, mind you, when this first happened, her brother was calling me, telling me that he had paid for it. I had to pay him.
Well, that's not the point. The point is, whoever you have to pay, are you responsible for damaging the car?
I don't feel
And you
like
say listen, I understand you said you can't get blood from a turnip. You're a turnip. You're saying you don't have the money to pay, although you offered to pay. But now you're saying you're not responsible. Do you have a valid driver's license?
Not right now. It's expired.
It expired when?
Last month.
Last month?
Mm-hmm.
So you had a valid driver's license. Why did it expire? Why'd you let it expire?
I haven't had time to go.
So what do you have with you now? What kind of ID?
Louisiana ID.
May I see it, please? Okay, so this ID was issued back in February of 2014.
Yes.
So you didn't just get this ID?
No.
Why would you get because it looks just like a driver's license, but it's not. It's an identification card.
Right.
So if I step off the bench right now and I check your DMV records, it's going to tell me that you have a valid Louisiana driver's license during this time period?
I don't think so.
Okay, you just told me you did. So.
I did. I did have one, but I had got too many tickets and it wasn't valid.
Okay, so let's start over again. During the time that you had her car, in this 3 weeks that you had her car, you were obviously driving it on at least 3 occasions.
Right.
Did you have a valid driver's license?
No, I had it, but it
so
wasn't
don't lie
valid.
to me.
I'm sorry.
Because when you lie to me about one thing, I start questioning everything else you said in court to me today. So why didn't you have a valid driver's license?
Because of the tickets I have, I'm trying to pay them off.
What tickets? Tickets for what?
3 speeding tickets.
Speeding tickets.
Yes. And then I got pulled over.
When's the last time you had a valid driver's license?
About 7 years ago. Yeah.
So the state of Louisiana for 7 years, have not allowed you to have a driver's license.
I've never went
because
there.
there's obviously an issue.
Ma'am, my California license was good when I got there. I had those for 3 years. Then I went and got their license, and I got tickets.
We're gonna take a break. I'm gonna pull up your driving record. We're in recess.
Okay.
Coming up on Judge Faith, a surprise discovery puts today's testimony under suspicion.
Did you know she didn't have a license?
I did not, ma'am.
Did you know anything about her driving record? This is your record from California, when you lived in California, not even Louisiana.
Plaintiff Brandy Obiama says May had an accident while driving her car. She's suing for damages to her car and an insurance deductible. Defendant May Crawford says she owes nothing because Brandy's car was damaged in a hit and run.
Before I talk about what I researched during the break, let me see the video you submitted to court, Ms. Crawford, about the street and the issue with the street where you live.
As you can see, there are cars on both sides of the street. It's a very narrow path to go through. This is my block that I live in. It's only 7:54 p.m., 9 o'clock, both sides of the street will be full.
You're driving, I'm assuming, in the video?
Yes.
Just so we're clear? Okay. And you're actually showing me this to show that it's a really tight street.
Yes.
And I'm assuming cars are, you know of other cars that have been hit on the street?
Yes, ma'am.
So why would you park a car there if you know this?
I had knew it before then.
You didn't
This
know
happened-
before this
no,
accident that
no.
another car had been hit on that street?
It happened after. I've lived on that street for 8 years, and this is the first time that this has happened. And the man across the street, we came out one morning, someone had sideswiped his truck.
Did you know she didn't have a license?
I did not, ma'am.
Did you know anything about her driving
No.
record? Did you have your car examined? Did an expert look at it and give you some kind of ruling about whether the car was moving or parked when it was hit?
Yeah, when I went and got it done, they basically said that it probably got hit. Like from how everything looked.
Parked or moving?
Moving. Like how it, from how it looked, from them doing everything, because they literally had to take like my door off and everything and buff it out and all that.
So they think it had been in an accident?
Basically, yeah.
And your position is the window and the side swipe. By the way, was that on the same side?
Same side, exactly.
Your position is the car was in an accident, all this damage happened at the same time?
Correct.
You know, I have to tell you, before I asked you about your driver's license, and which was an aside to this case, before I asked you about that, I thought this case was a slam dunk for you, because there was really no evidence on her part to establish that that you'd done anything wrong besides park this car on your street. But I have to tell you, this is just your driving record from California. All the infractions from California alone, not even Louisiana.
I've never had any license in Louisiana.
Okay, I didn't ask you about your license in Louisiana, Ms. Crawford. This is your record from California, when you lived in California, not even Louisiana. You have a terrible driving record. You know, you lost a lot of credibility with me because you started lying when I started asking you about having a driver's license. There's a reason why you don't.
No,
You don't obey traffic laws, clearly.
Your Honor,
and
the
this is
reason why.
absolutely incredible. I think you were driving this car.
No,
I think you were driving the car.
I lived in Louisiana 10 years. I've had a car for the past 2.5 years. I haven't had a car. That's why
and you don't have a license. Don't you understand that's a problem?
No, I didn't have. I was riding buses. I didn't need no license to ride buses.
You drove her to the airport.
I did.
You drove back home.
I did.
You drove to the white party.
I did.
You drove back home. You picked her up from the airport and you
Right.
drove. And now you want to tell me those are the only 5 times, though, that I've actually driven in the last 2.5 years.
No, her car. Because I just got a car. The man across the street gave me a car.
Do you not understand that you're not supposed to be driving? It doesn't matter whose car you're driving?
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
May I see the estimates for the damage to the car, please?
Okay.
I think the car was in an accident, and I do not believe that it was sideswiped on the street, which is why you probably were so readily volunteering to pay $1,000, because it's one thing for you to feel bad, Juan, when if you're in an accident and you feel bad because you feel partially responsible, right? But it's another thing to offer to pay $1,000 if you feel that you've done absolutely nothing wrong.
I felt
you can be
bad.
nice and apologize and offer to help out, but you offered to pay $1,000.
I felt bad because she's young and that was her first
But you
car.
offered to pay, that's fine. You feel bad, I understand. But then you took it a step further. You yourself said you don't have a lot of money. You offered to pay $1,000, but you did nothing wrong. You offered to pay the $1,000 because you knew you've been in an accident in this car, and based on your driving record, no one's surprised. You're the only one in this courtroom today that's acting dumbfounded.
On that, sure, yeah, you're right.
Well, you said you can't get blood from a turnip, but you're gonna have to come up with some money from somewhere. $1,518 judgment from the plaintiff.
I just wish she would have took responsibility for it ahead of time instead of making it come this far.
As far as my driver's license, I didn't have a car. Why did I need a driver's license?
Guy meets girl on Facebook and then buys her a car?
I thought she was pretty attractive, so I would contact her through the inbox.
He didn't buy the car, he co-signed for the car.
How many times had you seen her in person, met her before buying a car for her?
And later, a sister battles her brother in court after he fails to repair her roof.
My brother said, well, I would like the job. He said he's done many roofs. He's had a lot of experience on doing roofs.
You don't know what I've been through with these people.
I went to Bible study yesterday, and I'm not gonna go there today.
LaSawn Boyd says he had a crush on the defendant, but that's not the reason he co-signed on a car with her. And now she's messed up his good credit. He's suing for various expenses related to a car he purchased. Defendant Cherie Hodge says she doesn't owe any money because LaSawn overreacted when she missed a payment and took the car back.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Boyd versus Hodge.
Thank you, Juan. LaSawn Boyd,
Yes, ma'am.
you were suing the defendant Cherie Hodge
Yes, ma'am.
for $1,997 you say she owes you for various expenses related to a car you purchased.
Yes.
So I just want to break down your lawsuit, make sure I understand this. $772 for a tow and tickets.
Yes.
$375 to replace a mirror that was broken on the car.
Yes.
$200 in partial car payment and insurance, and $650 for missed work.
Yes.
So as I understand it, the two of you met on Facebook around November of 2013?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about that.
We was talking for a little while through Facebook. I never met her like actually in person. I thought she was pretty attractive, so I would contact her through the inbox and see if she wanted to hang out.
Okay.
So sometime in March, we seen each other on the train for the first time.
You just ran into each other randomly on the train in New York?
Yes. And
you recognized her from her Facebook photo?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
So we didn't say anything to each other that day.
You didn't say anything to each other on the train?
No, we actually...
Did you see him on the train? And you knew he was your Facebook friend that you've been talking to? And the two of you just didn't say a word?
I actually text her through the Facebook.
So after the fact, you said, I just saw you on the train.
No, I said, is that you? And
you're kidding.
And she responded. She said, if I'm cute, then yes. If not, then no.
So you guys are on the train writing to each other on Facebook?
Yes.
Interesting.
So,
see, this is the way people communicate these days. They feel comfortable texting and communicating, doing everything on their phones. And so there you are, you see her in person, and you decide you're just gonna send her a DM on Facebook.
Yes.
Let's fast forward to the next year, not even a year later, July of 2014, you buy this car for her, right?
Yes.
How many times had you seen her in person, met her before buying a car for her?
I've seen her twice.
Twice. So you guys didn't have anything going on at that point when he bought the car for you?
We were hanging out.
What does that mean? Were the two of you romantically involved?
We were.
So you liked her and the two of you had something going on?
Yes.
Because that's the only way this makes sense.
I wouldn't say we had anything going on because I seen her twice. And basically it was just like a, I seen you twice type of situation.
So here we are. You saw her twice, you buy her car in July of 2014.
Okay.
What was the agreement about the car? And why couldn't she buy her own car?
Her credit wasn't good enough.
Oh, so that's a good reason for you to buy someone else a car. They don't pay their bills, they don't have good credit, so let me put my name on the line, right?
I mean, I bought my car as in the process of me buying the car, the dealer tells me that if I refer someone that they will pay me $500. So she contacts the dealership. The guy tells her, your credit isn't good enough, but if I help her... As in
co-sign?
As a co-signer.
She can get a car?
She can get the car. So I go down there.
And you agreed to do that?
I agreed to co-sign. I didn't know that they was gonna actually make me sign for the whole car.
And you say absolutely not, right?
No, I didn't.
What'd you say?
I said yes.
Okay. Because I like Cherie and I want her to be my girlfriend.
Coming up, love is blind and expensive.
A few months down the line, I had told him, like, I won't be able to keep up with it because it was, it was becoming a lot.
Was she late on her payments?
Every month.
And later, a family is divided over a dispute about a roof repair job.
Did he ever do the job?
He did not do the job. He did a small area.
You know, I'm not a roofer by no means. I've never roofed a house before in my life.
Plaintiff LaSawn Boyd says Cherie is irresponsible with money, and he regrets co-signing on a car with her. He's suing for various expenses related to a car he purchased. Defendant Cherie Hyde says she doesn't owe any money because LaSawn took the car back.
So here we are, you get the car. The agreement is, although it's in his name, you will pay for the notes and the insurance.
Yes.
But that didn't work out because he eventually took the car back. So what happened? Why did he come back and get it?
Mm-hmm. As the months went on, the insurance went up, more payments, more money had to be kicked out.
Was she late on her payments?
Every month.
Okay, and so that's affecting your credit?
Yes.
Right? You take the car back, and what do you find out about the tickets and the mirror, which is what you're really suing for?
Yes. I didn't even know there were tickets on the car because...
Did you get tickets on the car?
I didn't get the tickets on the car. My friend that had the car when I wanted to get the rearview mirror fixed before he came and got it had collected the tickets, and I didn't know.
Show me proof of the tickets and for the cost of the mirror. What happened to the relationship between the two of you? Did that just all fall to shambles because of this car?
Yes, the relationship was ruined for the simple fact that she would get angry at me for being angry at her for being irresponsible.
And you think that's gonna help you get money from somebody?
No, it wasn't, but at the time I was just angry and I couldn't understand, like, why are you being this way to someone that basically helped you?
Because you don't know her. You don't know her well enough to commit to having someone pay you monthly payments over the course of years. You don't know her. Why bind yourself to someone for years over a car? Because you weren't thinking with the right brain. That's what the real problem is. So here's what we're going to do. You're asking her to pay you for $650 for missed work. I'm not going to order her to do that, but...
Can I say something?
Sure.
The day that I got the boot on my car, I woke up early in the morning to go to work. So
you have a boot on your car or the car she was driving?
When I took that car back from her, I had to drive that car for myself because I had lost my last car.
You know I lived in New York for a number of years, right?
Okay.
Do you know I know about public transportation and the trains?
Yes.
You don't have to take her car to get to work. You can take the train. There's a subway every 3 blocks in New York City.
I work in Long Island, ma'am.
So she's not responsible for that. Here's my judgment in this case. You are responsible for the tow tickets and replacing the mirror. That's a total judgment in the plaintiff's favor, $1,147. You know what? You got to eat some of the cost. You made a silly decision. I'm not going to order her to pay for a week's worth of you missing work. $1,147 judgment for the plaintiff.
I learned I would never co-sign for anyone because it's not a good idea.
I think Just Faith's ruling was very fair. I take full responsibility on my behalf when the car was in my possession.
Plaintiff Cheryl Jones says she paid her brother in advance for a roofing job on her fixer-upper home because she trusted him to complete the work. She's suing for a refund for roof work. She's accompanied in court today by Ronnie Lynch. Defendant Robert Conley says he got busy on another project and doesn't owe his sister any money because he was surprised to learn she'd hired somebody else to finish the job. He's accompanied in court today by his wife, Vicki Conley.
Cheryl Jones?
Yes.
You are suing the defendant, Robert Conley,
Yes.
for $4,655 for a refund for labor and materials for roof repairs he was supposed to do on your home. Okay, are the two of you related?
That's my sister.
Okay, so your brother and sister.
Yes, that's my brother.
Okay.
As children, we were very, very close.
What about as adults?
We had a little shaky relationship.
So what happened here?
I bought a fixer-upper home, and it needed a new roof. My brother said, I would like the job. He said, I need the money. And without question, of course, he said he's done many roofs. He's had a lot of experience on doing roofs.
Okay. So, Mr. Conley, you have a conversation with your sister about this. When did that conversation take place?
Probably 2014, early spring.
Okay, and what was that conversation, sir?
She was going to have her roof put on, and I went over and I told her, I said, hey, I really need the money, and I'd like to do the job for you. And she said, okay, and then she wrote me a check for $4,000, and I went out and bought the stuff.
She wrote you a check for $4,000, and was that the total amount you paid him?
Yes, he said he was needing money. He wanted to know if I would go ahead and write the check then, because he was in need of money. Well, I didn't even hesitate. I went ahead and wrote the check and then went on my way to Tennessee.
Okay, and the agreed upon total price for this project was what?
$4,700.
$4,700, and you paid him $4,000 of that $4,700.
I paid him $4,700.
You paid him the total amount of $4,700.
Yes.
Did he ever do the job?
He did not do the job. He did a small area.
What did you tell her?
I told her it would take me whenever I had time to do it, because at that time, just so lucky, I got a job working for a farmer, and we were in the fields in the morning and didn't get out till dark.
You just didn't work on it at all because you got busy?
No, we was discussed, and I told her I would do the job, you know, in time.
What does that mean?
It means whenever I had the time.
But that's not okay with her.
It was at the time.
Well, no, because we're here. Do you know why we're here?
Yeah.
Why?
Because she's a nut.
Really? Did you ever do the job?
Nice.
Huh?
Did you ever do the job?
I've done some of it, yes.
Okay, so how is she a nut? She paid you $4,700 and you did some of the work whenever you had the time. How is she a nut?
I told her that as soon as the weather cleared up, I would start, and then I would do it as.
And so did you do that, sir?
Yeah, and that was agreed upon. That as long as I got her roof done, you know, before it got cold and stuff, that it would do it. You know, I'm not a roofer by no means. I've never roofed a house before in my life.
Your Honor, he told me.
But you offered to do the job? You took the money?
Yeah.
He told me.
You said what you needed to say to get the $4,700. That's what it sounds like to me. After you got the money, you didn't care one way or the other when, if, and how the roof got done.
I believe
Am I
you're
right?
wrong.
I'm sorry?
I believe you're wrong.
I don't care what you believe. What you believe is completely irrelevant to me. In fact, if you had any sense, you wouldn't even be here being sued by your own sister. So keep your comments about what you believe to yourself, because when you walk through those doors, it's what I believe that matters in this courtroom.
Well, it's your courtroom, but what I'm saying is that what you're thinking is wrong.
And I'm going to tell you again, what you think does not matter.
Coming up on Judge Faith, questions are raised about the real reason for the siblings' roof repair dispute.
He put a fence in his backyard that same summer.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Not with the money she paid me. I done it with the money with my tax refunds and money that I earned from my job.
And what else did he do in his house?
Plaintiff Cheryl Jones says her brother had over 5 months to complete the roofing job. She's suing for a refund for roof work. Defendant Robert Conley says he got busy on another project and doesn't owe his sister any money.
Forget everything she said. I'm asking you a question. Did you complete the job?
No, I did not.
Okay, so give her money back.
She'll have to wait till I get the money.
No, she's not. She's not waiting another day.
Well, then
it's going to happen today.
Well, then she had to take me to court and sue me again because I don't have it.
That's what we're here for today, Conley.
Huh?
That's what we're here for today.
Yeah,
You're getting
I know.
sued already.
I know.
Ma'am, stand up, please. Who are you, ma'am?
His wife, her sister-in-law.
Good luck.
Everything was fine about the roof. We've been to her house since the roof. He went over and helped her put up a privacy fence. Then, my grandson's birthday is in December. My daughter-in-law tried to call her to invite her, and her house phone had been disconnected.
So she wasn't invited to the party?
That was on February 20th of this year. She filed the paperwork February 25th or 28th.
So you think that this lawsuit, after she's paid your husband $4,700...
There was not $4,700, there was $4,000.
I have it.
May I see it, please?
Yes, you may.
Do you concede that she paid you $4,700?
No, it was $4,000.
No.
I'm sure it was $4,000.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, it was $4,700. Here's the check that you cashed for $4,700, so perhaps you don't remember.
Oh, well, I'm sorry then. I'm sorry, I apologize to her too, but I thought it was $4,000.
But let me ask you something. You eventually hired someone else to come in and do this job?
Yes.
When was that? What month and what year?
It was at the end of August of 2014.
And how much did you pay someone to complete the job?
$1,000.
And were you aware that someone else came in and finished this job, sir?
After it was all done, yeah, I was aware of that.
Okay, and at that point, you still feel that you don't owe her money because she had to pay someone else for labor to come in and complete the job that you did not finish?
No.
And why is that?
Because I would have finished it, you know.
Has she given you more time?
Yeah.
What do you want to say, sir?
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to say?
All I can say is that the shingles have been laying up there for so long that they're starting to melt.
Yeah, no, it's 5 months.
Yeah.
5 months. That's more than a reasonable amount of time for Mr. Conley to complete this job. I mean, you call your sister a nut.
You don't know what I've been through with these people.
I don't know what you've been through, but I know that you spent that $4,700. You didn't have a problem spending the money they paid you to do the work, and you didn't do it.
He put a fence in his backyard that same summer.
And what else did he do in his house?
In the winter, this past winter, they redid their whole kitchen.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So you've had some spare time and some money to do some remodeling in your house.
That wasn't with my money, but...
Just not hers.
That was not with her, not with the money she paid me. I done it with the money with my tax refunds and money that I earned from my job.
What did you do with the money she paid you?
I paid bills.
He was not working at the time, had not been working.
That's not her problem. Whether or not he's working, and hey, if he's not working, then he should have all the time in the world to complete the project, right? He should have all the time in the world to complete the project that she's already paid for.
Your Honor.
What did she say?
I said you didn't hear me, did you, Judge?
You know what? I'm gonna get you out of here because you about to, let me tell you something. He's about to make me go there, and I'm not gonna go there today. I went to Bible study yesterday, and I'm not gonna go there today. You about to make me go there today.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
Okay, here's what I'm going to do. So it's $4,700 the plaintiff paid to the defendant. We're going to subtract $1,000 for materials you can see was purchased. In addition, I'm going to subtract $200 for labor. That leaves $3,500 that you owe the plaintiff, sir. Now, I'm going to say something because I think you're rude, I think you're disrespectful, and I think you show no remorse whatsoever for taking advantage of your sister. You may be able to treat her like that, but when you come into this courtroom, you will respect this courtroom and you're going to respect this judgment. You pay her $3,500. Have a good day.
What have I learned from this case? I've learned never to do business with family, and it's never happen again. That's a promise.
I wish we could get a relationship started, but after seeing the way he behaved and called me a nut, I don't know that there will ever be togetherness again, but maybe in prayer there will be.